Hi, thank you for joining me. It's Sunday, it's Book Talk Sunday, and I'm Marcy Brockman. Welcome to What's Up, Marcy, for Book Talk Sunday. Today is Sunday, October 11th, and today we are going to talk about the novel, one of the many novels written by Elisa Lorello, who is the wife of my friend Craig Lancaster, who was my editor for Permission to Land. A few weeks ago, I told the story about how I came to know Craig through his writing of his Edward series, starting with 600 Hours of Edward. And when I posted on Facebook that I had read these three novels that I loved and I was recommending them to other people, my friend Lisa, who lives in the same town that I live in, our sons were all in the same Boy Scout troop together, and our daughters graduated high school at the same time. Lisa said, "Oh, I know Craig Lancaster. He's really good friends with my really good friend. I mean, he's the husband of my really good friend, um, Elisa Lorello." Sorry, my brain froze, from high school. And so I found them both on Facebook and I became friends with them on Facebook. And now we, follow each other on all sorts of things. And after I figured out who Elisa Lorello was, I started listening to her books. Now, during the school year, I can't quite read so many books in paper because I'm teaching multiple pieces of literature at a time and trying to keep up with grading and so on from my students. So in order for me to keep up with my reading, my pleasure reading, I have to do audiobooks, which I love anyway. So I do them while I'm driving, while I'm doing dishes, while I'm cleaning the house, while I'm pretending to exercise, sometimes while I'm painting a painting. So anyway, so 2 years ago in 2018 was the first time I listened to the first time. I think it's kind of hard to see. There we go. The first time by Elisa Lorello. I did it through audible.com. And I really love the way she creates characters. Her characters are real, they're dynamic, they're flawed, they're funny, they're smart, they're sarcastic, they're vulnerable, they're annoying, they run the gamut of human emotions and human experiences. They're three-dimensional and very tangible. Like, you could very easily know people. How did I do that? Yeah, know people like these people. I'm going to just read you a little bit, the synopsis that I got off of Amazon. This is the summary. Novelists Jonathan Moss and Sage Merriweather should be a perfect match. They share not only the same publisher, but also a deep friendship full of mutual respect and encouragement. But when an ill-fated attempt at taking their relationship to the next level fails in spectacular fashion, it appears as though that once treasured bond is doomed for good. 1 year later, however, the duo gets a chance to salvage their relationship when Jonathan invites Sage on a do-over road trip from Phoenix to Tacoma, the same trip that ended before it began the year before. Reeling from the sudden death of her estranged father, Sage finally agrees, and the two embark on a journey that will change their lives forever. As the pair moves ever closer to the truth about their feelings, both Jonathan and Sage have to decide what they really mean to each other or risk losing it at all. And then a fan did a review, and this says, "This contemporary romance is about letting go of hurts, finding that best friends can also be in love, that sometimes less is more, and that home is where the heart is." Writers John and Sage deepen their friendship and love on a road trip fraught with emotional potholes. Not highly graphic, but definitely a romance similar to the kind Sage, the character, writes. So, I know a little bit about the romance between Elisa and Craig. And to me, this novel seems like um, almost a mirror image or a shadowed image of their romance, I think. Elisa's from Long Island, so is Sage Merriweather. John is from Tacoma, Washington, but Craig is from Billings, Montana, so it's close enough. And, they do share the same publisher, and they are both novelists. And I think that there's probably a lot of truth in Sage and John's romance, and there are probably some pretty strong parallels between Elisa and Craig's romance, although I'm not 1,000% sure. If she ever watches this or Craig ever watches this video, maybe they'll let us know. Another thing that I found quite interesting is not only was this couple in their 40s already when they finally started to connect and deepen their friendship, but I also, it sort of in a way mirrors the later in life or midlife relationship that my husband Michael and I have. Although we've been friends since 1987, we didn't actually allow or have time for or room for or whatever a romantic relationship with each other until the end of 2015, when I asked him out. And then we were very serious and committed by the end of January of 2016. And then I proposed in July of 2016, and we got married in January of 2017. And I was 48 and he was 50 when we started, and I was, 49 and he was 51. He's 2 years older than me. Yeah. When we got married. And I think there's a lot of difference between a midlife relationship and one that occurs when you're in your early to mid or late 20s or early 30s even. We've got a whole lot of life experience and probably some serious trauma or scar tissue from broken hearts along the way, and disappointment along the way, and divorces and unfulfilled romantic hopefulness, and as well as some very highly ingrained habits and independence and stubbornness. And I'm used to doing things my way, and I'm used to not having to answer to anyone, and it's difficult to imagine how to do that. And like Michael and I didn't really have a very hard time merging households because he was living in a rental house with both his kids and his grandkids after a long, involved, dramatic thing. And I own my own home, and we only lived 45 minutes away, in the same county on Long Island. So it was just super easy for him to just move in with me. And but Sage and John in this story, and Elisa and Craig in real life, had a larger challenge ahead of them, living on opposite coasts of the United States, having to figure out how to create a life together. And one of the other things that all three couples, Michael and I, Sage and John, and Elisa and Craig, the author and the author's husband, did was the 36 questions that you can ask and answer to fall in love, that were in the New York Times years ago, like 2015, 2014. And I talked about this before on an earlier episode of Book Talk Sunday. And so the idea was that you would take two relative strangers and put them in a room together and have them ask and answer very thoughtfully these 36 questions. And by the time you get to the end of the questions, they will have created such a sense of intimacy and support and connection that it would be likely that they would fall in love. And Michael and I did that our first trip together in February of 2016. And when Craig was editing my book, he said that he and Elisa did the same questions, and Elisa wrote it in the novel that Sage and John do the same questions while they're driving. So I just love the actual real life parallels. I think it's actually very, very cool. the characters themselves, I mean, beyond being believable, also engage in very realistic sounding conversations. I know that when I'm writing fiction, I'm not so easily on target with dialogue. And I don't know how much work Elisa puts into creating the dialogue, but it is like spot on, and there were times where they were engaged in this kind of witty repartee, this very smart, like word association, literary, intelligent, writerly conversation, that sort of skirted above emotionally vulnerable chasms of potential and sensitivity. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody but me, but it makes sense to me. Um, I did it as an audiobook, and there were times where I wasn't so thrilled with the intonation or the tone of voice of the narrator, but she did an excellent job at making each Sage and John's voices sound slightly different, so you were never confused as to who was talking when. And I really liked that there was so much of Sage's internal dialogue as she was fraught with uncertainty and vulnerability and angst and indecision and fear, as she was embarking on this road trip and embarking on trying to reconcile her feelings with John. And I think he had the same gamut of feelings of trepidation and fear, as well as hopefulness. And I think he was a little bit more sure about what he wanted and a little less timid, and he was the one who asked to redo the road trip the second time in the first place. But I think he spent the 11 months that they were apart healing, trying to get over the trauma and the pain and the heartache of the demise of his first marriage, and trying to figure out how he felt about himself and what he wanted to do with his life and what was important to him. And then at the end of that 11 months, coincidental to Sage reaching out and calling him that one particular night, I think he was ready to go back and try it again with her. But she had spent those same 11 months feeling heartbroken, and I think a little overly upset by the way he canceled the first trip. And you'll have to read it to figure out, to judge for yourself. But I think that she was still reeling from the trauma of her father's abandonment, and mixed that up with how she felt about John canceling the trip and kind of retreating back into his own safety to figure out what he needed and wanted from his own life. And so I think she was kind of stuck in the 11 months, and he was really growing and figuring out what he wanted and was finally ready to meet her back on the path. And it took her a while to be able to trust him enough to reach her hand out and grab his. And I'm not going to tell you how it ends. You're going to have to read it yourself. Anyway, so it's Second First Time by Elisa Lorello, and I will put a couple of bookstore links to her book below the video. And I'm trying to find the picture again to show you, but I can't talk and look at my phone at the same time, evidently. A little spaz. So there, Second First Time. Hopefully it's not backwards when you're looking at it, because it looks backwards for me. And again, it's available anywhere books are sold and in any form you want. I got it through Audible, but I'm sure if you want to use like the Libby app and borrow it in ebook or audiobook format from your library, you can do that. It's in independent bookstores all across the country, in stores and in some stores and online everywhere, and anywhere books are sold. So in any format you want it. And she's got like 7 or 8 or 9 other novels, I've only read probably 4 or 5 of them, and they all have very strong female protagonists and very believable, realistic characters that I enjoyed quite a bit. And some of them are writers. I think I'm not going to say all, but I remember like I think 3 of the characters are writers. There's one scene I just remembered. I wanted to talk about this. There's one scene in Second First Time where Sage and John are in a hotel room together because they're driving from Phoenix to Tacoma on this multi-day road trip, and they're sharing hotel rooms. The idea is that they're going to share a hotel room, but not share beds. They're going to sleep in separate beds and keep this thoroughly platonic. Yeah, we'll see if that works. But there's one scene where, Sage she doesn't pull any punches. She's sort of high maintenance. She packed a lot, and she has a whole suitcase or duffel bag or something just for hair products, and used to be a hairstylist, an esthetician or whatever, before she became a full-time writer. And there's a scene that I think about every single time I do my hair. It was so real and so descriptive and palpable for me. There's a scene where Sage is spending like 45 minutes or some ungodly amount of time that I would never spend on my hair. But, she's got all this product, and she's blow drying and straightening and curling or whatever the hell she's doing. And she's primping and doing her hair to get it just so, because this is important to her. And John's watching, and I don't sort of remember his reaction. I think his reaction was like awe and loved the end product. I don't know, and it's not really even part of the sensory image for me. But every time I do my hair, I think about Sage doing her hair in front of John as he's watching in the hotel room, and it just, there's like a little teeny shred of a snippet there that shows up for me. It's interesting. Anyway, so that's it. Second First Time by Elisa Lorello. I'll drop the links down below. Thank you for joining me for Book Talk Sunday. This is Marcy Brockman for What's Up Marcy. And please don't forget that as of 3 Tuesdays ago, I'm doing a Tuesday night series called Ask Me Anything. I'm going to do it live on my personal Facebook page at Marcy527. You could just look up Marcy Brockman on Facebook and find me. My page is open to the public. You still have to friend request me in order to become a friend, but I think anybody can see anything. So I'm going live at 8:30 every Tuesday night for Ask Me Anything. And you can show up live and ask your questions live, or if you want to ask your questions ahead of time, and if it's something I need to do a little research on, or it's a complicated question that you think maybe I need to think about a little bit, send it to me through Facebook Messenger, and I'll ask your question. I can ask them totally anonymously if that's fine, if that's what you prefer. I don't have to say, who you are. Sally Smith asked. I could just ask the question, answer the question. So I already have 2 for this coming Tuesday, but there's no reason I can't answer more. So send your questions and tune in on Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern Time on Facebook for Ask Me Anything. And then, of course, there's every other Thursday in preparation for landing. My friend Carrie Arend and I don't have her book up here. She is a project management professional and a career coach down from Raleigh, North Carolina. And she and I are both author friends, and we are the same publisher, published both of our books. And every other Thursday at 4 p.m, we are going live on Zoom, and you can certainly join us. And we're talking about resume building and how to find internships and choosing colleges and graduate schools, and trying to figure out how to use contacts to get better jobs and find jobs that match our talents and our personalities, as well as provide meaning and money so that we can live in our lives. And she's invaluable, amazing resource, and a wonderful speaker, and a good friend. And it would be super nice to have you join us for that. So So that's every other Tuesday for in preparation for landing. I mean, every other Thursday for preparation of landing. Look for ads on or posts about that on my Facebook page or on Instagram, Marcy Brockman 27. Tuesday evenings for Ask Me Anything, and Sunday afternoons for Book Talk Sunday. And occasionally in between, talking about things that, kind of move me or motivate me or get stuck in my brain or something. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you all very soon.